Oh, live. Welcome to Rule Zero. I'm joined by a panel of degenerates. We've all taken our tren. We've all had our vasectomies, and most of us are wearing sunglasses.
Under balls.
Absolutely. So let's just go around the panel quickly and say hi to everyone. So, Paul, come on, man, podcast. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. Let's go get some fine honeys in other countries today and talk about this Fresh and Fit's fiasco.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. John Fitch, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good. I am back from an epic road trip, the second annual Epic Fitch road trip. It was good. I did a lot of teaching and saw a lot of sites. Had a lot of lake time. It was pretty great.
Nice. Where'd you get to apart from, you mentioned Vegas, but where else?
Well, we went through Vegas. I taught a seminar there. Then I drove up all the way to Indiana, and I did multiple seminars in Indiana. Like, I'm kind of expanding on the summer trip. I think next year maybe be 3 weeks, and we might stop at more places. Since Vegas worked out nice, I might do it again next year.
Yeah.
Maybe find a spot in Colorado, place in Iowa, and just stop on places along the way. Do some, teach some violence and eat some good food.
Nice. I was in Vegas recently, so I just did a bit of a road trip. I was in Miami, then I went to Vegas, then I was in New York for a few days. Met up with Thor in Vegas, which was cool, and he gave me this Rule Zero mug.
I just missed you guys. I think it was like the week
before. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, what's interesting about Vegas, it's not my favorite city in the world, but it seems like there's a really interesting scene going on down there because you've got Glenn, and then obviously you've got Rollo, Sartain, Access Vegas, so there's a load of other creators there. So
I lived in Vegas for like 2.5 years. Vegas it's like off the strip. It's not bad because, from my opinion, you had a lot of like blue collar type workers. Everybody was in the same financial range. I felt like off the strip. So there's a lot of people who just were the same mentality. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, good stuff.
But the
heat is incredible. Yeah. But having said that, Miami was just, it was the humidity in Miami. It was a fucking disaster, to be honest. It was, that was through the roof as well. Talking about the heat, a man who's going to bring the heat today, Mr. Ryan Stone. How are you doing?
I promise to be nice. I'm going to be nice. No, actually, it's funny you speak of heat. Right now, for like me, it's fine. Brook 3 is going along well, that stuff. My family is in British Columbia, and right now the fires are coming back in. So I actually just got off the phone with my mom and my brother. So luckily they haven't lost their place, but he almost lost his town again. It's amazing. Jesus. Like everybody, remember the wildfires that were here in New York and East Coast for a while? Mm-hmm. That's like every year for BC. So this year was the year that I almost took up my brother's house. That was pretty good. It's good though. He's safe. So everybody's happy. His kids are fine. Good. And then beyond that, it was just, I've heard about all the tragic news that's happened around in the sphere. And so thoughts and prayers for everybody all around.
Well, there's a lot going on. Going on. And Mr. Napier, how are you doing? How's the Lego?
Oh, they're great. They're great, in all honesty. Just finished a very great set, a replica of a 90s set, so I'm very happy with that. Channel is going well, getting over 500 views on live streams. Not during the live stream, but on the replay. So that's nice to see. Been toying around with the analytics. And
just good stuff, man.
Keeps on going.
Fantastic. And Mr. Cappy, who I was hoping also to be in Vegas, and he just couldn't be bothered to come over. So
it's hot there now.
I know.
I don't know how the weather works in the United Kingdom, but in winter it's cold, and in summer it's hot. Yeah.
He was also hosting a guest last weekend, so he couldn't make it.
Paul, I have to give him a credit. He rode his motorcycle all the way from West Side, Colorado to the Sturgis Rally. And so he is authentically now an official motorcycle rider.
I'm a real biker now.
A real biker, yep.
Yeah, we got a lot of bikers on the road when we were driving.
I put this up, actually. Oh, that's interesting.
I was just about to say, Troy's internet is amazing, and then he froze. It's like,
Yeah. I was just experimenting with trying to put up a little excerpt from Fresh and Fit because I don't want this up yet. Because the first order of business today is sad news that everyone's probably already heard, maybe who's tuning in. But if you haven't, Fresh and Fit did a emergency podcast yesterday and informed us that their channel has been demonetized. In fact, not only their main channel, but actually all of their channels have been demonetized. So Myron's Fed channel's demonetized, their Clips channel's demonetized.
Can they still get super chats with the demonetization?
No.
No,
not through YouTube, but it looks like they're getting whatever equivalent is on Rumble at least. But I think a substantial amount of their money comes from the super chats on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was wondering. It's not a big deal if they can get super chats, but if there's super chats they're in trouble.
Yeah, no, they can't get super chats because I mean my channel's been demonetized forever, and that's because of some stupid, unfair thing that happened with Google. I mean, there's no reason why my channel should be demonetized, but it is. And the way that, in my experience,
we all know why that's demonetized. You don't go along with the narrative. You're not allowed. My stuff is fairly harmless, but it goes against the narrative. My shit gets demonetized all the time. I have limited ads on almost all of my videos. And there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with them. There's literally nothing wrong with them. It's some pink-haired pussy is watching them and has to declare, oh, that's offensive, and then they demonetize your shit. It's just we're run by.
I get that a lot too, and I've had a lot of my repeals go through, and they turn it back on, but sometimes that takes like a month, and you lose that initial momentum of a new video, and so it's like, well, thanks.
Oh, I'll get stuff restricted that I posted months or years ago. Like, oh, we just found this today. You posted this video 3 years ago. We got to demonetize it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
on Instagram also. Like they're paying me for the short things, the reels, and I got that taken away too from posting memes or whatever.
Shit, really?
Like, yeah, and then they're giving me strikes and warnings from stories, like the things that only last 24 hours that I posted over a year ago. They're like, by the way, this contains false information. Like, no one can see it. Yeah. Why are you doing this?
Like, well, everybody out there. So
it's been a year since
everybody out there who supports Fresh and Fit, go and follow those guys on Rumble. I was over there, as I say, a couple of weeks ago. I was in Miami. I was on a couple of Fresh and Fits again on Rumble actually because they'd had a YouTube strike then for something else. So I did a couple of shows. We did a show about Day Game, about Cold Approach, and then we did an evening show with the girls. A lot of fun. I mean, they're great guys. I'm good friends with both of them. I think that what they have done in this space is admirable in the sense that they've brought this subject matter to popular attention. They have drawn more people into the space. I mean, obviously their shows, the night shows are of a certain type. There's a lot of entertainment. It's there's the Jerry Springer element to it. But I think ultimately what they're trying to do is help guys to become better. And it does seem. I mean, I'm always a little bit skeptical when people start banging on about the Matrix and all this kind of thing. I'm always a little bit skeptical about that. But I think with something like this, you can definitely tell. Regrettably, you say things that people don't like, or that the mainstream society doesn't like on a public platform, and you get big, certainly, and you are going to draw attention to yourself, and you are going to find yourself in hot water. And we've seen it time and time again, and sadly, it's now happened with those guys. So obviously, they can still broadcast on YouTube; they're still there. It's just that the monetization makes a huge difference because their operation is very expensive. They hire they've got 20 people or something like that. Yeah,
YouTube's not going to turn away that money. That's free ads now. They get a bunch of people to watch their free ads.
Yeah, exactly. So they said on this clip that they're going to negotiate with YouTube to see what they can do. I mean, whether they're going to be able to turn it around, I don't know. I know they have a personal relationship with YouTube in a way that, because they're a big content creator, they've got their own sort of liaison person. So, hopefully maybe something could happen, but let's see.
This is a question I have. I don't understand why. I mean, they're not at the level like Joe Rogan, but what I don't understand is someone like Joe Rogan or these guys who make ridiculous amount of money from what they're doing. Why don't you create your own platform? Why don't you create your own way of hosting your servers and doing your own thing?
That's what Alex Jones had to do with InfoWars.
Why not follow his lead?
Wiped off the planet.
It's very possible.
He moved everything over to his own servers and stuff, and then he sells supplements now.
Yeah. Well, you could absolutely do that. People could absolutely do that, but I guess the issue is, are you getting that same reach? Are you pulling new people in? That's the problem, isn't it? Really.
Well, let's look at this from the business standpoint. Then you're right. Are they still getting the same reach? But their goal is to help men, right? There's still a big reach. Now let's just, from a risk perspective, like I get it. This is the problem with Spectacle. Jerry Springer got taken off the air. He was having like, and I get it, you guys are buddies. He had Fuentes on. What does bringing that dude on have anything to do with sexual strategy? But I get it, because like, it eventually, people get tired of seeing the girls kicking off, the White Claw, the drunk, all that stuff. So you have to add more and more. And that's the problem is with Spectacle, you eventually cross a line. Now, I'm not saying it's a good line to have. I'm not saying it's a bad line to have. But we can't pretend like we don't know where that line is. Rolo knew it flat out when Pearl ambushed him with Fuentes, and he just started, he's like, I'm demonetizing this video because I want nothing to do with it. So we know it's there. We saw it in 2016 when they were doing it before. We knew all the people that are basically brand cancer. Now, granted, that's a decision you have to make from a risk standpoint. I used to do risk analysis and like compliance, that sort of thing in my corporate career. My thought is, if I'm taking that kind of risk to bring on like a Nick Fuentes, for example, and I know that could possibly get my channel nuked from orbit, then I have to have a contingency plan, a plan B. Now, I don't know if they had one. I only watched like the first minute of their PBS telethon, so I don't know about the rest of it, but I'm hoping they're smart enough businessmen to have contingency plans for risk, for like basic risks like this. Like demonetized off of YouTube, every YouTube content creator should have a plan for what he would do in that case. Well, and I would think it's one of the best things too, if you want to really help men, I would say to be show instead of tell. So I would love to see what their contingency plans are for this thing. Is it just get a deal with Rumble? In which case that could be a good lesson. You're finding out that cancel culture isn't really a cancel. Like they don't remove you from anything. They just remove you from specific platforms. Oh, I don't get Coke anymore, so now I'm going to get Pepsi. That would be great. It would be wonderful and stop men getting scared of stuff here. And I would love to see, because I know, obviously, you know, I am not a big fan of the Fresh and Fit brand. I think it's not, whatever. I'm not a fan of it. But
it's un-Canadian?
Yes, we'll go with that.
Fundamentally un-Canadian.
But I will say this. Whenever I've been vocal about that, other people always say, well, they have other stuff too other than the White Claw Power Hour. They talk about financial literacy and saving your money and investing in that. This would be a great time to lean on that side and show how their financial investment and literacy has helped them weather this horrible event. So I'm actually looking forward to stuff like this. Right now, it's still just shock phase. So it's of limited utility other than shit posting.
Well, yeah, and I mean, look, to be fair to them as individuals, they're going to be fine, right? I mean, they've made investments, they've made a lot of money from this and from the other investments they have. You know, they're going to be fine as individuals. I think it's more about, okay, so where does the brand go? Now, personally, I really hope that Rumble does start to pick up steam, and it seems to be, right, because you've got obviously Tate went over there, you've got Mr. Sneeko's over there now. I mean, and let's not get into the whole debate about Sneeko, but I saw
they're big. That's the thing, though, right?
Well, I saw a post from him just recently, and obviously people are kind of talking themselves up and stuff. But I saw a post from him recently, and he said, ironically, getting cancelled from all the major platforms was the thing that really blew my career up. And I think if there's one positive that's coming out of this cancel culture sort of thing that we're seeing increasingly, it's that these alternative platforms are springing up. And something like Rumble, it seems like it's picking up some momentum. I mean, I don't know. And I think as more people get pushed off YouTube or the main platforms, there's got to be an alternative. And I think ultimately that's a good thing, right?
Oh, dude, the day Rumble gets like makeup tutorial channels on there is the day they're a serious contender. Like, Clary, you know this. The competition will be a good thing. YouTube has clawed back with adpocalypses, 3 times now in the last 10 years? If Rumble became like the number 2 competitor and like gave them a run for their money, even people just on YouTube who don't yell at drunk chicks in Miami will benefit from this, because now there's that competition and YouTube has to act right and they have to compete over creators.
I mean, is it the case that is it the case that basically YouTube has become very corporatized? I mean, I heard somebody,
yes.
I read something a while back saying actually what they really want, they don't really want, idiots like us sort of clogging it up. What they actually really want is more corporate kind of stuff, more kind of
7 Mr. Beasts.
And more, they want more Mr. Beast, more purple head people, more guys. Hey guys, let's play some Minecraft today.
Well, they want advertiser. Friendly.
Right. I showed my sons your Minecraft thing, and they're like, "Wait a minute! Like he's talking normal." Their minds were blown. I was like, "Yes, he's an adult man who talks like an adult man." and while he plays the game, he talks about adult man stuff, and they're like, rethinking
They
some of
want
their
advertiser
YouTube
friendly, don't they?
selections.
That's good.
They just want it to be advertiser friendly. That's what it comes down to. And when you look at, because I was on that podcast with Sartain and Rollo last week in the Access Vegas, and they were talking about the Barbie movie. Now I've not seen the Barbie movie yet, but fundamentally, people were saying, well, why is that the biggest movie? Whatever it is, box office, grossing sensation. Well, really, it's because that narrative, whatever anybody thinks of that narrative, which is basically men are shit and women are great, it sells, because that is kind of the zeitgeist, isn't it? People buy into that, and somebody on the show was saying how, on TikTok, there were all these like straight guys dressed up in pink going, hey, we're going to see the Barbie party dressed in pink. It's cool.
Yeah, because they think they're going to get chicks from it. They're going with girlfriends. They think that, if I act like the women, I'll get the women.
It's too bad, man. It's a German existential rock opera, and I really think you guys are missing out. I really do.
Have you seen it? You've seen it, haven't you?
I have seen it. It is not like you literally have to go in there and ignore everything Ben Shapiro's been talking about because he has no idea what he's doing. It is like Fight Club in pink. I don't know how else to describe it. It actually is. It's deceptively good. And it's either the writer is an awesome satirist or she's so clueless that she accidentally made the greatest satire ever.
Yeah. I mean, I probably will go and see it at some point just because, just because of the relevance for space, right? But
I have a question getting back to Fresh and Fit. Is this, they've only been canceled 24 hours or 12? And no, demonetized, I think canceled is not the right word.
No, they've been, to be clear, I put cancelled in the title, but no, to be clear, they've been monetized. So they're not off, well, in perpetuity, I think. I mean, once they're demonetized.
Less than 24 hours. Yeah.
Less than 24 hours.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry.
Could this just be tomorrow? Like they find out that there's a Becky in YouTube that had sand in her hoo-ha that day and her hair was extra pink. And because they do have a professional relationship with YouTube, they do make YouTube millions of dollars. And their client or agent at YouTube is going to say, hey, I don't care what Becky with the pink hair says. Put these guys back on. So I'm wondering, shouldn't we maybe wait? Now, I mean, it is what it is. We should respond to it now. But I'm wondering how much of this is going to be going, and we're monetized again. There was a little, because how many times
possible, because they did say that they are going to be working with their reps. So that is a possibility.
Which then brings up another aspect.
You gotta
draw a parallel with YouTube, and that is with Disney. Disney, along with YouTube, but Disney is proof positive that things beyond profit are starting to become more important to the corporate managers and corporate powers that be. Disney has obviously put more of an emphasis on politics, woke stuff, all that other stuff, and then profit second. Because I think in this year alone, their movies have lost $1 billion in losses,
and that doesn't even count Disney Plus.
But none of this. Let me finish. All right, none of this has translated any kind of profits that's actually hurt Disney. And what I believe is there's a disconnect because of the current generation of managers in corporate America that have been fed a steady stream of this woke, leftist, Marxist trait identity politics bullshit that has no bearing in the real world or profits. I think YouTube or Google also has a fair amount of these people in the positions of power who are pulling the strings. So there's this disconnect because I try to come up with somebody who's more profitable than Fresh and Fit. You have to have good content that makes money. Whether you disagree with that content or not, it doesn't matter. You need to have content. And these guys brought in millions. Now, if YouTube is willing to get rid of people with two guys, but one show that brings in millions of dollars, they are not long for this world. And as Ryan, I believe, said before, and Troy and Paul, Rumble will, and alternative platforms in general, but Rumble is queued up to be the hugest benefactor from it. And I think long term, this might actually be the down. Who here would have thought Disney would have been looking at being sold? Who here is aware of Disney's horrific balance sheet and finances right now? You would have never thought a 5-star brand name like Disney in the United States would face financial troubles. Well, they're not there yet, but they're not doing well. And not that YouTube or Google, I'm sure their other subsidiaries have tons of money. I'm sure they're very financially stable. But going forward, this is starting to say, no, we don't like profit, which is going to, in the long term, undermine the profit of YouTube.
Yeah.
And it is going to present a tremendous profit opportunity, just like Joe Rogan did for Spotify or something like that. So I don't think long term, short term, yes, maybe Fresh and Fit take a little bit of a hit. But if they go to Rumble, they have been around long enough. They have a very loyal audience. They provide an incredible value to millions of men. They are the ones that have the intrinsic value, not YouTube's platform anymore. And if they want to start kicking people off because, well, we don't like your politics, we don't like your race, or we don't like your message, that's fine, because I think this is actually long-term a good thing, because now we could all go to a place like Rumble or some other alternative and not have to be babysat by these second grade school moms. So I don't think this is the end of Fresh and Fit. I think they're just going to go to a different platform.
No, I agree. And like I say, I hope if anything, it continues the growth of Rumble. I think Tate moving over to Rumble, and he got supposedly got a $9 million deal or something to go over there. But I think that, and then maybe Sneeko, and then if Fresh and Fit now go big on Rumble, what I'm hoping is it really galvanizes Rumble as a platform for alternative content creators, and then there's somewhere else to go. Because it just, the fact that, like you said, somebody doesn't like some of the things that you say, and then you get shut down, you get removed from a platform, is really dangerous. And I don't agree with everything. I mean, so we talked about Fuentes. I mean, I'm not a Fuentes fan. I don't agree with anything he says, really. And there is even a question mark around, okay, so freedom of speech. Well, how far should freedom of speech actually go? And I think that the party line on that is always, well, as long as you're not inciting violence, it should be fine. And I basically agree with that. I think that if somebody isn't inciting violence, they should be able to talk. And
I agree with that.
To hang themselves.
You have to take into consideration too, though, like if you have a platform and you're selling ad space, if I have an ad company, I don't want my ads next to certain material.
Yeah,
you gotta take that into account. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big conspiracy theory ish, but I kind of feel like they don't care about losing money. Right? They have the DEI score, the diversity, equity, and inclusive score, and they put a lot more emphasis on that. And a lot of these platforms, I don't believe, are independent from the government. I don't think Google, who owns YouTube, I don't think it operates separately from the U.S. government. I believe they are an asset.
Oh, the PRISM program showed that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, they collect data, they manipulate people's emotions. They control what you see, what you hear. Like, I don't think this is a strictly monetary end game. I think there's powerful, evil people who are trying to run and rule everybody. And if everybody's thinking the same way, it's a lot easier to control those people.
Plus, you got to realize too, people think like YouTube is just a thing. No, they actually own infrastructure. That's how YouTube is able to serve this amazing amount of data, is because they actually own a lot of the nodes among like the backbone of the internet. And that's why that's their competitive moat they've made. And that's why, Rumble uses AWS, which is basically, as soon as Amazon decides they're done with them, they're done too. You actually have to build infrastructure, and that's expensive and that's hard.
That's what happened to Parler.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. This is no different than the telecom. Remember the Baby Bells, the telecom fiasco? It took like an act of God to get AT&T to split up into all these different bell companies. And this is kind of where YouTube's at, and the law is woefully far behind. So from an American standpoint, it is a bit of a national security thing. And if you're an opportunist that's in the government, you can absolutely use this to push any kind of agenda you want to do. But that's the thing. Yeah. That's the terrain. We all know that's the terrain. And this is the part that I love. This is the meta part. Red Pill isn't about fixing the world. It's not about saving men. It's about navigating. Yes. And so part of the reason that I'm kind of, I don't want to say irritated with this, but I think there's a lesson that's being missed, is that being able to navigate this woke conspiracy, government environment, all this stuff, and handle a successful YouTube channel, I think that's a meta, like, show, don't tell. example, and I think that one's being kind of missed too. But nobody really cares. So, but at the same time, that's going to be Rumble's problem moving forward with theirs is if they're just running off of AWS infrastructure anyway, they can't be the free speech alternative platform because all it is instead of YouTube telling them no, it's Amazon with AWS telling them no or Cloudflare telling them no.
Well, I would also introduce the idea that over enough time, YouTube will start to have itself as the reputation. Like, for example, do any of you take NPR or Troy, in your case, the BBC? Do any of you take them seriously?
Oh, no.
Like, even as a kid, it was like they make fun. Like, okay, this is squeaky clean, nice, well-crafted government propaganda, or at least the nice, it is so boring. Like public radio. Like, okay, one, I don't believe you, but two, you suck. And there's this
propaganda radio.
Well, it's propaganda, but it's just like, you guys are shit. You're Money Planet. Oh, aren't you edgy? Let's all get our coffee and drink with our pinkies up. So YouTube runs the risk of becoming that in the medium to long term, where it's like, look, if I want to have an actual edgy intellectual thought, if I want to consume edgy or like at least different material, like when you were kids, you didn't watch. Who watched NPR? Who watched PBS? That was Snoresville. And so I'm saying from a demand perspective of the media people want to consume, they're going to go and search elsewhere. So there's always going to be this demand, and whether or not it's on a platform that has the infrastructure backed up like YouTube or not, or Rumble where it has the AW, whatever it is, I think they really are shooting themselves in the foot, having this political, not ideology, but this political commitment. Like, we must be like this, but it's going to be like, YouTube, the second grade school mom, where we can't say poop on the playground. So I believe, just like the mainstream media, YouTube they are doing themselves a disservice in pushing a government narrative.
Can somebody help me out?
No, I agree.
Like, what happened to Twitch? What went wrong with Twitch?
About Gab.
Dude, Twitch is horrible.
What happened to,
Do you know why?
Tell me. What went wrong with Twitch?
Amazon doesn't care about Twitch. They bought Twitch. All they care about is getting Amazon subscriptions because that you can use that for your Amazon Prime and the Amazon TV thing. That's the only reason they like Twitch, is because you can buy subs for it. And because of that, they don't put any money into the infrastructure. And the management there is largely left alone. And the problem is they invade, like, a lot of the woke stuff that Twitch has it. Like, there's a deerkin. There's a chick there who pretends she's a deer. They're banning it for stupid stuff. And then finally, this is why Blue Cuck is coming around, because they cut the monetization. Creators used to be 70-30 on there. Now it's 50-50. So everybody took a 20% pay cut overnight.
Is that why people are going to Kick?
Yeah, that's why they're trying to go to Kick.
We got to deal with Cuck Smurf.
And exactly. Did you notice this? All of a sudden, the level of autism and insanity and poly stuff just started spreading all of a sudden. It's not. That's because they all escaped from Twitch. It's like when they banned the incel subreddit, then all of a sudden every subreddit had incels in it.
What's the deal with Kick then? What's the deal with Kick?
It's basically like a clone. It's like a fork of Twitch, but everybody's trying to see if it'll take off, because most of these ones don't work. Like Ninja tried moving over to that Microsoft one. It didn't take off. Twitch clones come and go every 6 months.
Okay. There's quite a few people I think are on Kick now, aren't they? Like Destiny's on Kick, I think.
But ultimately, Jack, that's the big one, is that they just cut their content creators' money.
And what I was wondering,
before I forget, did you guys there was one BBC thing that was really good some years ago. It was The Human Animal. Did you guys ever watch that?
No.
It's like scrubbed from the internet. It's hard to find now. But the BBC basically did a red pill praxeology of like humans and their dating behavior type stuff. And it was very accurate.
The human animal.
The human animal.
No,
right. But nowadays, like, it's hard to even find it because it was very, defining men and women in the speech of it. It's a very good program.
What I was wondering about Twitch, because I remember that they started banning certain words at a certain point, but I also know that Twitch was kind of very big on the free speech as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to be devil's advocate here. There is no free speech. No. Because, and let's be honest here, do you people know Vouch? Do you people know Vouch?
Yeah, the trust fund baby Marx's kid, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what he likes to bring up because of free
Age of
speech?
consent's the only thing he brings up. It's all he cares about.
Now, I ain't saying. I'm just saying, as a platform and whatever, you got to have a line. You got to have a line where it's like, look, you can make content, you can be kind of edgy, but there is a line we don't cross.
No diddling kids!
And Molyneux and Crowder and all other kinds of people were like, oh, you know what? We're going to cross that line because we want to be edgy. Boom. Oh, we got canceled. No, the line was clear. It was very clear. You can talk about everything you want, but you don't cross this line. And what you see with Twitch, they got kind of like the free speech thing going on and whatever. It's going through the drain. Now, Rumble, if Rumble can keep this up and they have their finances in order, the only problem that Rumble is facing, where's your line? Where's your line in the sand?
That was
you can be a free speech platform, sure, but
that right there is what canceled Parler, because Parler was like, we're going to be a free speech platform. We're not going to put these restrictions on there. And so then all of the big tech conglomerates got together in a back room and said, hey, we can't allow this. And it was a coordinated effort, but they all shut them down. And they were hosted on AWS. They were hosted on AWS. AWS shut down all their servers. They had no backups of it. Like they really didn't plan for a coordinated attack like that.
But I think Jack's right, because if you don't have a line, then it very quickly descends to the very lowest, like knuckle dragging kind of BS of the dark sludge of the internet. And I think that could be a problem on Twitter, on X, because Twitter, I don't know about you guys, I personally think Twitter's become a lot more fun, a lot more interesting in the last couple of months. And I'm not an Elon fanboy by any means, but I think actually it's quite cool on there now. However, have you seen this thing about he's going to get rid of the block button?
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about that?
I think that's terrible, because that's the way that you should be able to police your own content. You know, if someone's being a douche, you're like, okay, look, I don't have time for you, and block them. You know, and then you don't have to worry about reporting people and getting them, deplatformed. It's just like, hey, I control what I see. But if you get rid of that completely, that's pretty messed up.
Yep.
Whether that goes through or not, I suppose remains to be seen. But I mean, I think that would be a mistake, because then you're going to have all kinds of people are just motherfuckers on there. Do you know what I mean? And they're people with bad intent who aren't there to have a proper conversation. It's just tiring, And some people,
even from a content perspective, like you have a bunch of fans, Troy, and when they get to your Twitter, they see the engagement on your Twitter, and those people are actively ruining the experience of your fans. That's my take on it. Like, I don't want somebody to come in to see Ryan Stone content and then seeing Billy in the chat acting like a damn twat. Other than if I can use it to sell books by pointing out how stupid he is.
I hate Billy. Yeah. Man, he is a twat. I hate that guy.
Shall we attempt? Should we just attempt to watch a little bit of Myron talking about the station here? If my internet, this is gonna blow up my computer now. So if this doesn't work, apologies. But let's just try, because it was quite a moving show last night they did. So let's just have a look at this. Hang on.
And what ended up happening is I had to make a really tough decision that month. I remember going back and forth, trying to figure it out. And, they're like, no, you have to pick one. You're going to be a YouTuber, or you can be a special agent of Homeland, but you're not going to do both. And I had to make that decision. I remember you were there. Yeah. We had Andrew here. And I was like, well, we got people working for us now. There's people that depend on us. You had to pretty much quit your gig. So I was like, all right, I'm going to resign. And I walked in December 5th, turned in all my stuff. And I walked away from the U.S. government. It was a good, six-figure job. It was stable. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. You guys know on my Fed Reacts, you guys see how I talk when I'm talking on that channel. And and I tell you guys that story to tell you that I haven't felt like that since today. And it sucks, guys. It really does suck. Fortunately, we made some moves, etc. And we kind of knew that the type of content that we make, for us to be able to give you this content, we have to.
It comes at a cost.
It comes at a cost, dude.
And it won't be here forever.
Yeah. And you guys always said this, enjoy us while you can.
Yeah. That's all happened, man.
Yeah.
It was a joke.
And we made moves on the side knowing that this could potentially happen. And guys, channel has been the YouTube partner. Just keep it straight with
If you look right now, you can't even super chat or
you can't even super chat right now.
Yep. So this is the beginning of the end.
So we are in trolling chat. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you literally can't. Yeah, man. So it's so basically we're gonna figure out what's going on because we don't even really know all the details. We're working with YouTube to come to a middle ground and work together and figure this out. But for now,
we don't know why.
We don't know the specific reason.
But we don't in any form or fashion
Chris
hate YouTube or not go at them. We're just saying, you know what, we wish we knew the reason why, but we respect, for them to use the platform and keeping us here for a while, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. But and the thing is that you guys know, right, on this pod, we push the edge, right? We push the envelope where we're not gonna lie about that. We give you guys the real deal when it comes to getting in shape, when it comes to
money, girls,
dating, improving yourself, etc. And unfortunately, to be able to give people real advice that they can take in real life and apply to the real world, you have uncomfortable conversations about uncomfortable topics
9/11
in uncomfortable times. Guys, it's about to be an election year. You know what I mean?
They're good at sales pitches, man. That was an impassioned rhetoric. I liked it.
Yeah,
so really come a long way in the pitch.
So that's just an excerpt. They were on for about half an hour and they were talking about this stuff. I mean, I'd just say from my perspective, the first thing is that Myron is both of them, but Myron is a fucking powerhouse in terms of working. I mean, the amount of work that dude puts into that show, it's fucking insane. I mean, he is up till like 2-3 in the morning in the gym and doing all this shit, and then it's just bang bang bang, fresh as well. Bringing on these fucking great guests, etc. etc. So they've really put. And what he was talking about there is like he had to give up the job that he had. Went full on into this, and they really, really have made it a passion thing. The other thing about Myron as well, and both of them, is they're incredibly loyal. I mean, they still have me on. I go over there, they'll have me on the fucking show, and I'm some middle-aged English bloke with a fucking tiny channel. Do you know what I mean? And they've got 1.5 million subscribers, and he'll still have me on. I'm still in regular contact with those dudes because they appreciate, what the fact that we work together before they'd reach those heights. So I've got a lot of respect for those guys. I think they're great guys. I think you can look at maybe some of their content and think, well, I don't like that as much. I don't like that. People are going to have different opinions. That's fine. But I think as guys, they're fucking awesome. They've done some great work, and it's just I mean, like Ryan said, I mean, we all kind of know where the line is, and you come up against the line, and it's kind of like, well, unfortunately, that increasingly this shit happens, but it's just fucked up that we live in a world where people can people can go out and try to put some content out there, try to give their impression of the world, try to give their own spin on things, and some platform just turns around and goes, do you know what, I don't really like that, okay, on your bike. And it's
TikTok
it's a sad reality.
TikTok is really bad about that. I'm on my third TikTok account. My first one, I was really pushing the envelope. That one, I probably deserved it, but my second account, it's completely shadow banned, and I've been really trying to color within the lines, and that's the real trick, is trying to come right up to the line but not cross it. That takes some real planning,
I think absolutely. I think that's right. And I mean, my content for the most part is kind of on the pretty vanilla, really. I mean, I might be hinting at certain things, but I do try to sort of toe that line because you're right. I mean, Ryan's right. We know where that line is, and unfortunately, if you overstep that line, then you are going to be shafted.
Yeah, like everybody with a normal job has these same issues. The things you don't start talking about the ladies you plowed at the office last night.
Well, I used to.
Get to talk
about
HR.
I used to. That's why I had to give up corporate work. To be honest.
Well done, sir. But that's what I mean. There's always this kind of social negotiation with what's appropriate and not. We could say free speech and try to use that as a blanket against everything, but you're right. And the military, there was things you don't talk about. There's things you don't talk about in front of your chief. Don't ever tell your coxswain you're bored when you're on a sail, because you're going to get a fire X the next day. You're fucked.
I suppose the only sort of counter, this isn't even really a counter argument, but another thought that's related to this is that, as Cappy was saying before he was maybe the Matrix has got him as well, and he's left the stream. But as Cappy was kind of saying, there is demand for this content. I mean, that's the other thing. You know, it's not that there's huge demand for people talking about this more edgy type of stuff. And I mean, so in the
There's
end,
demand for crack too, though, right? So,
well, from me,
I'm not
certainly,
saying
right?
that Myron is crack.
Have you got any? Well, there's demand for crack from me, Ryan. If you've got any after the show, we can talk. But no,
did you get that crack? Did you get that crack from Tiffany?
Don't mention Tiffany, for God's sake. Yeah,
how is that going?
How's it going? How's it going? I'm in London, man. Anyway, more importantly, Glenn Lawrence, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm good. I'm back home.
He's not dead, damn it. Damn it.
Wow.
I tried.
You want to hear something funny? Here's the joke. I'm the only guy in the world that gave a virus to a porn star without even sleeping with them.
I wouldn't. That's not something to brag about.
Can you guys? Do you guys have those credentials? I don't think.
I didn't know Rolo did porn.
He started only feet porn. Remember his only feet porn?
Oh Jesus!
Yeah. So because
what's crazy about all this is like I want to say this. What's crazy about this is like people want to blame the Matrix, right? If the Matrix got them, no, they got them. They got them.
Yeah.
It's decisions that we make in our lives, right, that put us in the position that we're in, and we can't blame the Matrix. You know what? And this is what I get really tired of hearing the Tate say this, and it's like, you know, they want to blame like, oh, the Matrix is getting the Tates. No, the Tates got the Tates. The Tates put themselves in that situation. Myron and Fresh, unfortunately, put themselves in the situation where they get to be a target, right? And they brought people on like, you know, Destiny and Nick F and, you know, people that are very loud and boisterous and very like, you know, triggering, right? Whether they agree with them or not, like, oh, we're about free speech, fine. You have the freedom to say whatever you want, but it doesn't mean you avoid the consequences. You don't avoid the consequences. And unfortunately, the consequences here in this situation is that you're working with a platform that doesn't want these people on their platform. And then this is the consequences of it. And you know, so it's like, okay, when the people that are blaming the Matrix for everything is just like the chick that blames dudes for everything.
Well, it's kind of like I said, right? Like every company has a line you do not cross. And when you start, look, I'm all down for conspiracy theories. I'm very honest. I would love to do a Rule Zero on it. Like, what's your favorite? Fine.
Oh, dude.
My favorite
next
is
week,
like
Jack, you're up. You're up.
Jack is not a human. Jack is an android.
Oh, that could very well be true. It's kind of like if you keep, and this is what Ryan brought up, spectacle at a certain point needs to stay spectacle. And I'm not saying anything about the person that Myron or Walter is, and I have heard nothing but positive things about them. No honesty. Everybody who's ever met them, and when like I crack a joke every now and then, they're like, yeah, okay, I get the joke, but I want you to know that they're very great guys. And I believe you right away. They're probably very great guys. The thing is that YouTube doesn't care how much carat of gold your heart is. YouTube cares how much ad revenue you can bring in while being in their line. Where it's like, we don't talk about conspiracies. You're not bringing the F-boy on and whatever they did. I don't know the other one. Like Destiny isn't even that provocative in all honesty, I believe. He still has his YouTube channel. He doesn't even do that weird stuff. But if you bring the F-boy on, it's kind of like, look, crossing a line. Even Friday Night Tights was pushing the limit when having Alex Jones on. It's like, there's certain things you just don't do if you want to keep doing this. If you work in corporate, you have to play the corporate game. If you want to be on YouTube, you have to play the YouTube game. I don't always like it. They probably didn't like it. Well, but if you don't want to play, there are going to be consequences, whether you agree with them or not.
And look, I think because Myron, even in that video, even in the little excerpt I played, he said, "Look, we brushed up against the line. We know that they do know that, and they accept that, and they're probably not. I mean, I can't speak for him or them, but they're probably not sitting here going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. This is unfair." They knew that they were brushing up against the line. They knew the consequences were there. I guess they were probably my take on this, and I don't know, but my take is they're probably thinking, well, we want to promote free speech. We want to promote the ideas that we want to discuss, and we're just going to do that, and we're kind of going to hope that we can run on this for as long as we can. But I mean, even in that excerpt, Fresh said, I told you this isn't going to last forever. So I think they were always aware of that. It's not that they're naive to that. It's just that they've.
Well, then if they don't have a backup
I mean,
plan
this
for that-
honestly, this is street cred. They got internet cred.
Oh yeah.
If he's smart,
How edgy and how right can your points of view be if you're not even being demonetized and kicked off the platform every once in a while?
Well, it's almost
what
like
are you?
It's almost
you're
like
just a
Zerka bragging about.
You can't get suspended or restricted in some way for your viewpoints.
It's like a grift at this point.
It is a grift. It's like Zerka loves to brag about how he's the most canceled guy on like Instagram or whatever.
Remember
right?
Milo?
Yeah, and it's just like, yo, you're not cool like me. You're not cool enough like me. Let me see you get canceled. Then you're cool like me. But it's like, it's almost like the gangster bragging about how many times he's been to jail. Like,
you got caught.
You got caught. Like, yo, you're not that cool, man, because you got busted. I haven't been busted.
Hey, Glenn, I got a question
is
for you.
not cool.
Glenn, I got a question for you.
What's up?
So Fresh and Fit, they got demonetized. I believe Whatever podcast, they're also demonetized, which is why they're selling pocket pussies and.
Are they demonetized?
Yeah.
God.
I've only ever watched their show like a couple of times, and like
they're not demonetized.
I think the last time I saw it, they were asking people to, they were putting a link in the chat for like PayPal, to get people to send them stuff. So,
well, that's fair enough.
So big shows like that. I mean, what are you guys over at Access Vegas doing to try to make sure this doesn't happen to you guys?
Well, one, we don't have dumb people on the show. We try to avoid
I was on there.
idiots. Well, I mean, you're not dumb. You're awesome. But like, this is my solution, like, to all this, right? And I was talking to this with the guy last night at dinner who's big into tech. I said, look, I want to create like my own YouTube. What if I created a platform where I could put on all Rule Zero, all the guys on Rule Zero, everybody in our space, right? What if we put them on our shows there and we go live there and we put it behind a paywall? We don't have to worry about YouTube ad revenue. We don't have to worry about, what to say, what we can't say, because we own the platform and we can say what we want on our platform. Is that possible? And we were going down through the whole process. Like, yeah, we broke down the numbers. It would be like, it would be, it comes up to like $12 million a year or something like that, if we really wanted to do it, and it's like, okay, that's the solution in all this. I mean, it sounds ridiculous price wise, but it's like, okay, you can't be mad at the platform that has rules that says, hey, if you're going to be on my platform, you have to operate by these rules. If you don't like their rules, then you create your own platform and have your own rules.
But like,
that's the solution.
Glenn, honest to God question. It's like, have our own platform and say whatever we want. I don't know about you, but I don't need to talk about race, realism, or age of consent. I don't feel that need.
Well, even aside from that, just the economics.
There are platforms out there available. Gab is pretty much you can say whatever,
Well,
but that place is
kind of a cesspool. It's kind of a cesspool because of that fact.
Exactly.
Some people just go there to meme awful things.
Well, look at the opportunity cost of it too. Glenn is absolutely right. He was saying 12 million a year, right? So if we all had the pull to get 12 million a year in ad revenue from another platform, or take that to make our own platform, is that $12 million being better spent, or would be better spent like not talking about the Jewish question or whatever the hell they talk about, and then earning your 12 million at YouTube and moving on? Do you think you can make more than 12 million making your own platform, spending that upfront cost, and then pick it up on the back end? I think for most of us, it's just not a viable strategy.
Well, isn't the other problem reach as well, though, Glenn? If you building the platform it's a great idea, but is it actually going to bring new people in as much as say YouTube was?
The other issue,
you have marketing on top of that cost to tell people that you're even out there.
I broke it down to this. Like, we broke down the numbers, right? So I took 3 podcasts, right? I took Rolo's podcast and said we'll take half of his viewers. right? Let's say we take half of Fresh and Fit's viewers. Let's say we take half of Pearl's viewers. Let's say, and I just use those three because those are just three metrics I wanted to use, right? And it came out to like 1.9 million subs, right? Total. Right. So let's say I get 1.9 million subs to pay $100 a month to come to our, platform to watch our content exclusively, unfiltered, right? It came out to like 1.6 or 1.7 billion dollars a year is what the outcome would be. That covers operation costs. That covers,
CapEx and OpEx.
Yeah. It covers all the expenses that we need. It covers the servers. It covers the tech people that we're going to need to troubleshoot. There's not to sound like it's a money move, but it's a move that could independently, create this platform. But here's the other part. The only way that it works is if all of us do it together. It would take all of us to do it.
Glenn, I don't want to shit on your parade or rain on your parade, whatever the phrase is. Remember Molyneux? Yeah. Molyneux got banned of YouTube. That man had, how much did he have? Something I know he had over a couple of million viewers or whatever. He went and brought all his stuff to locals and somewhere else. He even mentioned on a stream recently where it's he never got the audience he ever got on YouTube. He never got that back. YouTube is so well known. It is in every household, you name it. You have people, and this is the thing with what is old is new again. This is why I mentioned Milo. Remember Milo? Mm-hmm. There are so many people in so many audiences, even ours. Hey, if you feel addressed to this, sorry, man. But there are viewers who are just waiting for the next big thing. Where it's there are people who watch Fresh and Fit, and then they were like, "Oh, here's this new thing. I'll go over there."
Fans of convenience.
Fans of convenience. Thanks. I didn't know they had a name.
But that's an ego thing, though, for a content creator to tell them my audience only likes me because it's something to do on a Saturday afternoon. That's a bit of a hit, man. I don't know if you guys know this, but you talk to a lot of these people. There is a lot of ego floating around the influencer ecosystem. Everybody thinks they're fucking signs from God, better than sliced bread.
They're all there's a lot of humility, right? They're all very very
I'm not talking about anybody in specific. I just mean as a general I get you, Troy, never mind. British humor. I should have known that. But you know what I mean? And that's why it's difficult too, because Glenn brought up a big collaborative effort that would work. Can you imagine putting 6 NPD, imagine Destiny and Rolo and me and Myron and Stefan Molyneux with Lauren Southern sitting in a room and deciding to put petty ego away to make $1 billion industry. Do you see that happening?
No. But see, that's what it would take, right?
You would have to part the Red Sea, and drown all the Egyptians.
And you're right, Jackie. People watch this for convenience and stuff like that. Right. But we already know about maybe 15% of the guys that actually pay attention to the stuff that we say actually apply it in their lives. The other 85 just consume it for entertainment purposes.
I can't remember what the number was, but John was talking about Modern Life. John was talking about
12%.
Yeah, the people who bought the course and actually opened it. We're talking not talking about viewership. We're talking about people who actually paid for the course.
Exactly.
Only a small percentage of 12% of them actually opened it after they already paid for it. That's wild.
And it's just okay, Jack, when you're training people, right? If you give your training away for free, nobody's going to take your advice. But because you put a price tag on your training,
they still don't follow.
But you get
it's like marathons where they're hey, you want to run? You want to run 26 miles?
With people that actually pay for it and invest in it than you do with people that get it for free.
It's not all I'm saying. Pay for it. It's just apply and listen. Just because I've had clients who paid me
too much
and they still didn't listen. So it's not even the money thing.
But
the money thing helps, though. The money thing definitely helps.
It helps.
It makes it sustainable. You still have to eat. Let me ask you guys this then. You've heard all of this effort that would have to go into doing this to avoid cancel culture and whatever. Doesn't it sound just a hell of a lot easier not to ask the JQ on live streams?
This is what I said.
Well, right. I've got a point.
I got a book to write. I haven't got time to create the.
I've got a point. I've got a point about this. Right. I agree with you. And I feel no need to talk about that. I feel no need to talk about age of consent. I feel no need to talk about any of this crap, really. However,
God, he's a smart Brit.
However, the argument is going to be, okay, fine. Well, that's a very obvious, big thing that you can simply avoid talking about. But to what extent is talking about the stuff that is in our wheelhouse? To what extent is that going to be tolerated?
Some things are just out of your control. Like, I get it. You're talking about like principles.
But somebody could even look at your channel and say, or look at your Twitter and say, when you say women ain't shit, as a joke, they're like,
they very well could, man. They very well
know
could,
what I'm saying?
And I have no ability to change that. That's
So
the thing.
this one's for Pearl. Why can't we talk about that?
Yeah, and true. I 100% agree with you. I like the idea of everybody should be able to say this stuff. I think Fuentes should be able to go off on whatever little neo rant he wants to do. I think that would be great. I like it because the more that there's, like, as long as he's there, I know I'm fine. If he's not banned, I am fine. But I don't live in that world. I also don't live in the world where if a girl is a virgin when I meet her, then we're going to have a happy life forever. Like, it's navigation. This is the world we're in now. And the world we're in now, they drew a line, and it's that democratic talking points. And you toe the line. I use euphemisms to get around the language stuff. I understand that I could be, demonetized at any time because of the stuff I say. I plan around it so that if I get banned from YouTube tomorrow, I still have Amazon. I still have Patreon. I still have all these other things. And that's all you can really do. And this is really the red pill lesson.
I'm talking about mission creep, I guess, right? Where yes, obviously the JQ, why does anyone really need to talk about that? And that's a big thing that's sort of sitting over here. But as the mission, then it becomes, well, you're talking about, the relationships between men and women in a certain way. We don't really like that. So we're going to get rid of you for that,
Yeah, and they may. And it may be a slippery slope, but doesn't matter what I say here, that won't change.
Well, here's the thing. So, what Hotep said last night, because I had Hotep Jesus on Mike Sartain's live stream. And Hotep brought this up, and he was like, look, that's what happened to them. Like we watched them to see how far we could go, with our content. How far can we take it before we get demonetized? And you also have to think about this, though, right? How much money was Fresh and Fit bringing in to where YouTube is like, we don't want your money. We don't want that percentage that you make. We rather cut you off, cancel you to make that money.
Well, it probably costs them more from somebody else, like government loan. Maybe the government pulls their contracts. Yeah.
So think about it like this way, right? Like it's not at some point it's not about the money to them if they want to really get rid of you.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Do they bring in more money than Mr. Beast?
Oh, guaranteed no.
Exactly.
Remember at one point they were the number one super chatted podcast in America.
In America.
Yeah, that's a baseball stat.
But it is, but it's still a stat to think about because I can tell you, I don't get those super chats. You know what I'm saying? So think about that percentage of money that they were making off those super chats, and they got to the point where like, hey, you guys crossed the line one too many times. We're done with you.
Maybe we're doing this all wrong. Maybe we need to institute instead of super chats a super fuck you. We'll get a lot of money that way, right?
Red Pill Thor is in the house. How are you, sir? It's good to see you. It was good to see you in Vegas.
Oh, thank you. I want to do a campaign. Let's no more super chats, super fuck yous. Let's do that.
Cappy would be proud.
So what is the solution, right? The solution, like Ryan said, hey, it's better just not to fucking talk about the dumb shit that really doesn't change anything.
Yeah, is that the hill you want to die on?
Yeah, is that what you want to die on, or are you? The question is how is talking about the JWs and all this stuff really change and impact men's life? I mean, we're in a space to improve, help guys, give them the tools that they could utilize to improve their lives. Arguing about with the blue-haired cuck about masculinity is not the thing to do, or bringing on a known person that's been banned because of his ideology and his views is not the thing to do. Yeah, you seem cool, you seem like a rebel, and you're going against the grain. Guess what? Those people get executed in wars. They're the ones that like you're not going to be Braveheart in all this. You're not the YouTube Braveheart, okay? You're not going to
because this is a business, right?
It's
a business, and so you can't be thinking about it in these high ideals. You have to think about it like a business.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people forget that because they think it's like, I'm awesome, I can't be caught, I'll brag about all kinds of crime, and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, Romanian police, Greta who?
Yeah. Well, like I say, I mean, I think just from that little clip that we saw, I think Myron and Walter were fully aware of the line. They were aware they were brushing up near to it. They I believe they were acting in good faith because they thought, well, we want to open dialogue, we want to provide this sort of content, and we're going to do it, and let's see how far we can push it. And so I think absolutely. But I don't think they were unaware that this could happen.
Yeah, it's not even come out of left field, and it's survivable. I do a show, Mixed Martial Mindset, with Jason Burmis. And he's done a lot of 9/11 truthing stuff, and he's got a lot of videos and things available. He's been demonetized from YouTube for as long as I've known him.
Really?
When I got banned from TikTok,
he does. He has the Burmis Brigade, and they do PayPal donations. And
how big's his channel?
Steven Crowder long ago, he had like 60,000, 70,000 subs on YouTube. Steven Crowder, back in the day, he got demonetized, and he started the Mug Club. He was making most of his money from mug sales.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember?
Was he demonetized?
So it's not. Yeah, he got demonetized, and that was a long time ago. Now he ends up, making money and keeps going, selling the mugs, doing the Mug Club thing, and then he's able to sign a huge deal. So,
well, I mean, Glenn,
culture, it's basically the culture war, and I think that they are losing. I think that the school marms are losing. Like,
well, I'm demonetized anyway, Glenn. I mean, I'm small fry in this.
I can't even write my post on Twitter. I have like Grammarly, and it has a AI option. I can rephrase the stuff I wrote. Every time it tries to correct me like a school marm. It's like, oh, you meant to say that everybody works hard or whatever. And it's like, no, I did not mean to say that. Jerk off.
Yeah,
quit trying to make me sound PC.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy. Like, I'll write something and I'll AI it to make it a little better, and they'll PC it. And I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, you can still make money. You can still make money in this space and be demonetized. I mean, I've been demonetized forever. I've got a very small channel, but I still get a ton of coaching clients. I mean, James Tusk, he is monetized. He's got about 35,000 subs, so it's not huge in the context of the people we're talking about. He makes a ton of money from coaching. He is monetized, but the ad revenue he gets, he's told me, is pretty low. We're talking about a couple of $100 a month. He's not getting huge ad revenue. You could definitely make money in this space without being monetized. But clearly, for somebody like Fresh and Fit, where a lot of their business model was kind of largely geared towards that, it's a big.
Well, and see, Troy, this is why Myron is smarter than us, and why we're never going to be that big. Because you see, our talk to this was nuts and bolts. You guys were talking about the business decisions that you could change. Is it better to make this pivot? Actionable advice, kind of like the fucking thumbnail. What did Myron do when he went on his? It was an impassioned speech. It was like, guys, I sacrificed everything because I love you and you're in there. It was like, I started to tear up, and I don't give a shit about anything.
That was smart.
It is very smart. That's ethos, pathos, logos. That's how rhetoric works. It's your status. He's got the status. It's the emotions, and then it's the logic. That's the least persuasive, and that's technically all we've been talking about. And so,
see, and then when I listen to it, I'm like, I can't feel bad. I don't feel bad.
You don't, but you're not the audience either. But the guys throwing those super chats at him are, and they are fucking crying about it.
Yeah, when he says, fuck them kids, I'd much rather help you guys out. It's like, oh, yeah, he gets us.
But it's a fucking presidential speech.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's an emotional, impassioned speech to get guys.
And I'm just kind of like, wait a minute, bro. You said you knew this was, you knew you were flirting with the line, so you knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're sad about it.
Do you know why they don't sell shit to men? Because men act like you. They sell shit to women because women get emotional and they cry when they hear that speech.
Smart.
I'm like, bro, you knew you were going to get pulled over if you ran a red light, and you ran a red light, and you're complaining that you got.
That's why his speech was about how he gave up his government job, he gave up security, and he did it for you. You, Glenn. You are awesome, and he did it for you. Jesus died for your sins. Myron gave up his job for your super chat.
It's
And I'm not shitting on him, Troy. I'm saying it's fucking brilliant. I've seen pastors. Tammy Faye Baker used to cry every fucking week for those Christian super chats, and she was raking in the money. This is exactly like
their dog. Their dog had an air conditioned house.
Jesus Christ.
Like,
no, I agree from the optics of it were great, but I also think it's coming from a real place. I think he was emotional. And
That's
I think
the convincing part.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
we should
I'm not trying to
really.
say that he wasn't emotional and he wasn't sincere about how he feels. I'm just saying it's just like, okay, if you know this is going to happen and it happens, you really don't have a whole lot of room to cry about it. Like, because you know it was going to happen. So if you were smart, you already have a plan B, plan C, plan D lined up. Hey, guess what? This happened, guys. We're doing this now. You know, this happened. We have this backup. But to be like, well, they got us.
Well, as we were saying at the beginning, I think they've got backups. I mean, in the sense, personally, they've got backups because they're smart guys. They've made some money. They've got investments. Blah blah blah. They've also got Rumble. They've got they've still got YouTube to broadcast to. They've got some other platforms as well. So I think they'll be okay. But it's just it's just kind of shit in terms of the fact that these restrictions are in place in this society. I think that's the overarching thing.
Oh yeah, it costs them. That is true.
Yeah, we should really talk a little bit about Passport Bros because I have put it on the thumbnail.
Wasn't that supposed to be our original topic?
That was the original topic. So,
and then the Fresh and Fit thing happened.
Our one passport.
So anyway, what about going overseas to get laid? What's wrong with that?
Get the hell out of here. Go to another
country.
About
going over platform to get laid? How much of Rumble's audience is female? How much of those are the questions?
I'm not sure you have a good point. I'm not sure you want to get laid with anybody who watches Rumble. To be honest, I can imagine there's quite a lot of basement dwellers.
I find that offensive towards Fresh and Fit audience.
So Trey, you do have a point. Is one thing I have noticed. Like I've been around the world, like 20 some countries, and I noticed
such a whore ride.
Well, no. There's the military. It happens. Here's the one thing I've noticed: American women are different, and you guys can vouch for me if I'm right or wrong. They are different than every other woman in the world. I don't know how to describe
about
it.
American women.
Well, no, I don't mean good, bad. It's just it's sufficiently
American women
different.
are broken.
South Korea, it felt just like talking to Canadian girls. There's some differences. Japan, Croatia, everything. But for some reason, America is different. And so for Passport Bros, I would suggest, like, maybe it's not about going to Brazil. Maybe it's not about going to Thailand and getting yourself a hooker. But do experience the world of women, and you guys are going to see how different America is. If you're going there thinking that the only thing that's in my way are these American broads, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening because South Korean women still don't put up with your bullshit. So
well, let's be honest.
I will say this:
they're different, but
I went to Australia, right? I went to Australia in the military. The fucking Australian women loved the American sailors, and I think it was just because we were not Australians, right? It's like you're the exotic guy. It's the same reason why a British guy goes to America, and all of a sudden he's like rare and exotic because he's got the accent and stuff like that. That is a plus. Anytime you go anywhere else, now you have the accent. Now you're just not the local guy, and now you're different.
It's just like how Troy was when he was in Vegas. Like you should have seen him. All them girls from Access Vegas and Daverick show were like hanging on every word that he said.
Yeah, but he's also Troy.
I was like,
Francis.
It's James Bond, but no.
Glenn, I wouldn't quite say that, man. I mean, I think some of these for an English guy. So there's this perception. Yeah, guys. English dudes go to America, they love the accent, blah blah blah. I think that's probably true in certain states. I don't.
We were talking about that. Oh,
yeah, Americans don't know what a posh accent is. They think that that redneck British accent is the same thing.
I had some success when I was in America. Let's just say that.
So let's be real. You had some luck.
I had.
Troy doesn't need luck.
Americans think the Queen speaks Cockney English. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Here's my thought on the whole Passport, bro. Because I was in the military too, and there was a lot of guys that I knew that went overseas, and then they would find this chick, and they would marry her. Right, these girls from other countries, they game too. They'll plead that little beautiful housewife that's submissive. You bring her ass back over here. Bro, you could be divorced in 5 years and lose.
Eddie Murphy used to have a great bit. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? A chick from Africa. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
she's gonna get Americanized.
Overseas,
I've noticed a difference in dating first generation American women. Right? They're slightly different than somebody whose family's been in America for a while. You know, if they're first generation, they act a little bit different, but they're still Americanized. So
yes,
we got to be careful.
True.
Yeah, if you're looking to find a wife, like there's a lot of these passport bros are looking not just to go and have fun. They're looking for a wife, like it's like, well, you got to stay there, man. You know, you got to go wherever you go. You got to learn to love that culture. You got to learn to speak that language, and you got to fucking stay there. Because if you bring them back, they're gonna get fucking ruined. They're gonna be ruined.
Like it's like, yo, why you're gonna go find your perfect wife in some other country, and you're like, oh, I got her, great. And if you bring her back here, she's gonna become Barbie. She's gonna become that feminist that you hated when you were dating him out here.
Well, Glenn, my boss did that. South African wife. 6 months it lasted. She got here as soon as she lived with them. 6 months. She was gone.
I got a friend here in London, right? And he tells this story about this dude who went to Brazil and he married this. He found this beautiful Brazilian woman. They were having a great relationship. He brought her to London. They got married. They were married for a couple of years, and then suddenly she wants to bring her brother over. So her brother comes over and starts living in the house.
Oh, that ain't her brother.
He notices that this brother, they seem to have a slightly more sort of Team Skeet type relationship than he'd expected. Anyway, fast forward a few months, he's been chucked out the house. They're divorcing. He loses half his shit. And the woman's living with her boyfriend in a nice house in London. So you've definitely got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Firstly, on the scamming part of things, which I think a lot of guys worry about, and maybe worry about a little bit unduly. But you've got to be fucking savvy and not get scammed. And
I was worried. I thought she was going to get caught in the drire at the end of that story.
And there's also the issue, as you say, about them bringing them back to your home country, because I've been in Miami, right? I mean, it's full of Latinas. There's a lot of very beautiful Latinas there, and some of them, they've only just moved there from Venezuela or something, so they're kind of cool. But the ones who've been there for longer, they very quickly become Americanized, or they very quickly become, made British or whatever. And so then they're not those same sweet, feminine, whatever woman that you met over there. They become something very different.
One thing I found too in the Navy was because this happens to a lot of sailors, right? Sailors are the worst. Sailors go to like the Philippines and they marry the first girl that touches their dick. You know what I mean? And what you'll find going overseas too is that there's a lot of women that are just looking for that free ticket back to the United States. So, because it is the land of opportunity, and so the easiest way for a lot of women to find their way here is by hitching a ride on a sailor's passport. And so. You just got to be careful about that. But if you just want to go and, bang chicks in other countries, like do it. Please do.
Here's my thing about it all. It's like
you can travel and date.
Let's say if you don't learn how to, if you can't learn how to deal with American women, and if they're the worst women out there, then this is like the best place to practice with women, because then you learn how hard it is, right? And then if you develop game, then you go overseas and you understand how women behave, then you have a better opportunity to weed out. But the guys are like, oh, well, I'm not getting anywhere with American women, so I want to go overseas to Brazil and get good with women over there. Well, then you're just playing the game on easy mode.
Dude, that is the greatest compliment for American women I've ever heard. If you can fuck one here, you could fuck one anywhere.
Fuck one anywhere. You're damn right.
It's like the New York thing. If you can fuck one here, you can fuck her anywhere. It's like
prison. Yeah, fight the biggest guy you can find, and then your prison time will be great.
It is kind of true though, because if you go to if you practice in a hard mode place, and then you go somewhere, because look, I mean, I travel a lot, right? So I've got some first-hand experience of this, and there are definitely places where you just naturally have more interest than you would. So if I went to, say, Ukraine, and that may sound crazy at the moment, but James Tusk is I think over there now. He traveled to Lviv, which is relatively safe. If you went to Ukraine, or before the war, Russia, or somewhat Poland and some of these other countries, or Latin America. Latin America is another gold mine for dudes. I mean, Colombia is fucking great. Mexico's great. I really want to go to Argentina. There's all these other places. You do get, like, I have more exotic value when I go there than I do when I'm walking down the street in London. Because in London, they're just some other dude. Whereas when I'm in these places, they're like, oh wow. And then I drop in the London thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm from London actually. And they're like, oh,
just
wow,
another
my
bloke.
God. You know, and all of that. So it definitely gives you some points. But I think the important thing to note is that in all of these places, you still need to know what the fuck you're doing, right? If you're a fucking simp sitting in small town Minnesota, or you're a fucking simp sitting in Croydon, just because you get on a plane, it doesn't mean you're going to get the
being
top
unattractive
girls.
is unattractive
and you're also in more danger of getting fucking fleeced by someone with bad intentions.
All I can picture is that Australian guy with the cargo shorts in Thailand with his 25-year-old wife, and she's just basically taking money left and right.
I mean, that stuff happens. You know, but it's like what quality you
trying to
really
lead
get
with your wallet, you're gonna lose. If you can't develop game here in America, and you try to go somewhere else and play to your strengths, like your wallet, or trying to say I'm American. You know what I could give you? You deserve to get played. You really do. Yeah. Let's just be honest. If you don't know the game and you go to another country and you get played, you deserve it because you didn't take the time to develop the game. You did not take the time to do your work, and you just want an instant gratification reaction. So you got it, but it came at a cost. That's your problem. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm all for passport bros. Hey guys, like if I know guys that went to other countries that have money, that have a status, that have the lifestyle that they want to live, and they said, I don't want to deal with these women out here. I want to go open up my business in Brazil and or Colombia. And they're doing that, and they live out there, and they have a great life. And I'm like, bravo, salute to you. That's going your own way. Cool.
That's what I really admire actually about Rule Zero alum John MLD. MLD he doesn't just talk about it. He's all about it. He doesn't like the American women, so he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go live in Japan. And so he actually does that. Most of these guys that you'll see on like Twitter talking about how, all the American women are broken, I'm going to be a passport bro. They're still just talking about it. They're not actually out going and doing it.
Yeah. Or they're in Brazil banging trannies.
Or the fact that they're saying all American women are broken, and that could be true. But that also points at the fact that they're broken too, because they don't even know how to play the game with these broken broads.
It's a bit of a cope, though, isn't it? It's a bit of a cope, though, isn't it? Because let's be honest, there's some fucking hot women in America. It's ridiculous to say there is.
And America's a fucking big place too.
Well,
it's not.
But so just in the small
America's not all California and New York.
No, but even in those.
There's a lot. I just spent a lot of time driving through.
I've only been to a few places, but in Vegas there was a ton of hot girls. In the place where I was staying, walk through the casino, just a ton of hot girls out on a Tuesday night, just loads of beautiful women. New York, and you guys may have mixed opinions on New York. I appreciate, but fucking hell, man, Soho, New York, Jesus Christ, it was fucking brilliant. So many beautiful, like hot women just walking around the whole fucking place is absolutely fantastic. So to say it's a little bit of a cope when guys are like, oh yeah, American women, they're all fat. I mean, yeah, sure, there is an obesity problem there, like there is in the UK. But there's some fucking hotties there, and if you're not accessing that, then you need to up your game.
You're complaining about women like oh yeah, all American women are fat, but these fat bitches wouldn't fuck you anyways. So like your game sucks that you can't even get the fatty when they sleep with you. So it's like
that's gotta hurt.
Jackie, you awake?
Somebody's
written. Jackie,
where in America there are not very many hot women? South Dakota, where Kathy's at. there's some fucking heavy looking heifers up there. You know what I mean?
Well, you gotta work with what you've got, haven't you? The reason, by the way, I should mention one of the reasons we're doing.
You got the pictures, Paul, to prove it. I see them. Those are some beastly women out there.
So one of the reasons we're doing this topic is because one of the reasons we're doing this topic is because our colleague and friend John MLD has a course at the moment called Passport Bro, which he's doing with a guy called David Bond, who's got a big YouTube channel. He's famous for traveling around the world and meeting lots of girls in exotic locations. They've got a course called Passport Bro, which is open now. I'll put the link in the chat. Well, it's not actually open now, but I begged John to keep my link open for you guys watching Rule Zero, so you can still join. It's a fucking brilliant course. They've given me access to it. It's really, really good. You get a bunch of video content with them talking through all different aspects of being a passport bro, right? Because it's not as easy. Like, guys can be completely clueless, just get on a plane, randomly go somewhere, not have any friends there, not know what the fuck you're doing. So they've got the video course. They've got a Telegram group with a whole bunch of other dudes in there. You can ask about different places. They give you like information about things like security, because people are often worried about, okay, if I go to Colombia, is it safe? What do I do? What if I get ripped off? Blah, blah, blah. Give you advice about security, the best places to go, how to research places before you go, so you know if they're good or not. Plus, you've got all of the support in the Telegram group. Plus, they're doing a bunch of webinars next week, of which I'm going to be on one of them on Thursday. So I'm taking a webinar for their class next week. It's going to be Thursday. I think it's 9 a.m. EST. So if you want to join the course, it's fucking brilliant. It's only about $700. Get in now, because he's only going to keep this open probably today for Rule Zero members. But the link in the chat. So have a look at the sales page. Have a look at this, because it's really, really good. If you're interested in traveling for dating, you need this information. And John, I can vouch for, and David Bond has traveled the world for like a decade or so. So these guys really know what the fuck they're talking about.
Hey, Troy,
anyway,
there's a little comment in the comments over here about you mean prostitute bros.
No,
right?
fucking hell.
He says it's
you don't have to
pay
go
for
abroad.
play. Let's be real. What? I mean,
well, everything's pay to play.
Yeah,
like
everything's pay to play. What date are you going on to in the United States where you're not ever putting anything out forward? Like even the easy lays, even the easy chicks, you know, you had to do something to make yourself attractive. You had to do something to make yourself wealthy, or something that they wanted to seek with in the first place.
Yeah,
like,
you can keep
there's
dates
always
low
a cost.
investment, but you're still
like
investing.
you're fantasizing, you're coping, thinking that you're never going to have to put anything into a relationship to get sex. Sorry, it's all pay to play.
Well,
every day,
time,
every day,
attention,
you have a
money,
girlfriend, you have
something.
a long-term relationship. The love and the acts and the things that you do on a daily basis to keep them in your life, you're paying. And these passport bros, they're not going to the brothels. Like, who wants to go and date a girl long term? If you want to go have sex, you can have sex in Vegas for $5.
Yo, look, we could take you
know,
up to the
there's
bunny
the
ranch out
ranch,
here in
there's all kinds
Vegas,
of
and we
things.
could get
Go do
laid.
it.
If you really want to hear this thing about like the whole like incels or passport bros, like, oh, I can't get laid. Yes, you can. Come to Vegas. I'll get you laid. We'll go down. We'll go down the Hostro, and I'll get you laid. You will save more money in the long run too. You ain't got to go to Bangladesh and pay for all that. Okay, you can do
Just
it
look
right
for the
here.
guy clacking the
Flight to
cards on the
Vegas
street
has
corner.
got to be way
looking for the guy
cheaper
going-
than going a flight to Singapore.
So Troy, let's jump on the different bandwagon here. We've been slamming the passport bros like everybody else does popularly. Like,
No,
you
we
can't
shouldn't be.
get
I don't
girls,
think we should be though.
Let's talk about the actual advantage. If you're a young guy and you get your passport and you explore the world with the intent on improving your social status in different cultures, there's a lot of advantages to doing this on your routine vacations. Wouldn't you agree? I think it's one of the best things a man can do is to travel the world young.
Mm-hmm.
You know, first thing I did at 16 when I graduated was spent 3 months outside of the U.S. Very eye-opening and get you socially acclimatized quickly. So
yeah, well,
that's a huge benefit of the military.
That only does you so good if you don't learn the game here first.
Yes,
You know?
I agree. I agree with that. No, I agree with all of these points. So yeah, you're like Thor's absolutely right. And it occurred to me actually recently, being back in NYC. Like, I understand, because I've now traveled to more places. Travel really does broaden the mind. Because I've been to Latin America, because I've dealt with a lot of those women, because I've been to different, I've been to Russia, I've been to Ukraine. Meeting these, like my understanding of the world is now exponentially bigger through travel than it was before. So I meet a girl, I'll meet a Russian girl in New York, and now I'm able to say, oh, cool, I've been there, I've been to this place. I understand her culture. So that's why, for me, travel has become increasingly important, because you just understand the world more. The other thing is about the prostitution or paying for it. I agree with John. Everybody's paying in some shape or form, right? That's true. Men always end up paying in some shape or form. However, to say that a passport bro, oh, dude, it's just prostitution, that's absolutely not the case either. I mean, my dating life for the last 2 or 3 years has basically been traveling around to different countries, meeting girls either through day game, maybe sometimes a little bit on the apps or whatever, mainly through day game though, or night game, meeting girls, taking them out on a date, having a great time, and then maybe we end up getting intimate together afterwards, right? That's all it is. It's not about me. I'm not going to these places with a wad full of fucking money, like handing it out like fucking, confetti. It's not about that. It's about being a cool guy, traveling, enjoying traveling for its own sake, learning about different cultures. And while you're there, you can maybe you meet some girls, maybe you guys go for a drink, maybe you end up having sex, or you end up in a sort of, a casual kind of thing with her. I mean, that's the beauty of this. And to say, oh, it's all about paying. I mean, I'm sure there are some dudes who they go to Thailand and they pay, and that's fine. That's
Troy,
it is what you make it.
Troy, you're not the only passport bro here. We got to talk about Jack. Jack is a passport bro.
Jack Napier, the Lego fuel passport bro.
Jack's a reverse passport bro.
Like he's the reverse passport bro. All the guys from America leaving America go date women in other countries. Jack is in the Netherlands dating American women. He's like, I want to play this game on hard mode. Okay, I don't want it easy.
Expert level.
Jack, can you teach us your ways, Jack?
Grow out your hair, collect Legos, and don't give a damn about what other people think. They'll come to you.
Lead with your best Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it's funny because most guys are complaining about like they're leaving other countries, right? Or leaving their country, leaving America to go date women from other countries. And Jack is like, yo, hold my beer. I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to leave the Netherlands and date an American woman. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not even leaving the Netherlands.
You're not even leaving.
He doesn't even leave his bedroom.
Exactly. Glenn, I'm wondering if there's just not this whole community of guys broadcasting this fantasy of being a passport bro. So they're making this content online, and the actual number is actually not that much. The guys
if we're going to talk about passport bros, like we got to talk about passport chicks. Okay. Do you know how many women go down to Jamaica to get mud from these chicks, these dudes, these Jamaican dudes rubbing their butts and with mud, and you know what's gonna happen next.
They travel backpacking places all alone, but there's tons of pictures.
Them girls' trips overseas are if not worse than the passport bros.
Yeah, there's a tour in Africa. I forgot what country it is, but yeah.
Well, no, so I forgot what it's called.
Float out to Dubai.
They banned British women for claiming child support after they get knocked up.
Yeah. It's the same place I was thinking too.
Yeah. So there's this place, this country in Africa. They're like, fuck you, British or white people. You're not coming over here and sleeping with our men, because what these girls will do, they go over there, they find this hot, black guy all thinned out, buffed up. And these guys are prostitutes. They bang these chicks, right? And then these girls get pregnant. They go home pregnant. And then these girls try to come back and file for child support. And the country's like, no.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, quick question on this. When women are on these holidays or these travel things, there seems to be a bit more open to the casual liaison.
Of course, because nobody else can find out.
What is that? What that is?
Yeah, it's anonymity. It's the same reason that, like, you ever notice promiscuity went up as soon as dating apps went up? That's the whole point of dating apps, is for girls to get a side piece without letting their friends find out about it, because girls slut shame the shit out of each other.
Sure.
That's why they travel. And that's why when they go to the bar, I had a thing in my book about look for groups of 2, 3 at most. Don't ever hit on like 4 sets, because at that point, flexing on their friends by turning you down is like the game, and you don't want to play that game. But it's always, and I always found it was a girl would go to the bar with her slutty friend, the least judgmental friend she'd have. And that was like my green sign. Like, I know why she's here. It's because her boyfriend pissed her off. Her dad didn't buy her a pony. And all I have to do is not drop the ball on this one. Works like a charm.
So I wonder if that works a little bit in reverse with these passport guys, that jump over there. A little bit of anonymity because they're foreigners in that culture.
Well, that's the problem, is that it's harder as a guy, because for a guy, you're supposed to have the logistics in place, right? When you do start to date, spontaneity. Right? They want things just to happen. It takes a lot of fucking planning. Yep. And if you're a passport bro, there's always that thing too, like, hey, you want to come back to my hotel room? Instantly gives like prostitute vibes. Yeah. That's why for guys, it's like you're better off getting an Airbnb if you're going to be a passport bro. You're better off having your own logistics in place.
Right.
At least in my experience, like in foreign ports and that, it was difficult. Way more difficult than it should be.
Germany was pretty easy for me.
Wow.
When I was at
Ramstein,
Germany hasn't done anything that's hard since 1945. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hello, Fräulein. Ich bin eine Amerikaner. I invaded you once and I can do it again.
You're right. Like when it comes to these passport bros, it's like logistics matters, right?
Yeah.
And why a girl could go to another country and get banged out by a bunch of dudes and nobody will know is because the guys have the status. If you're a guy coming into another country and you don't have the status, right? And that's where it kind of matters, right? You know, kind of like, are you the alpha guy? When you walk into like when Troy, here's my question to you. You walk if you're a dude from another country, right? And you try to walk in, you try to portray that you're this alpha guy, but nobody's gonna think that you're alpha because nobody knows you. You know? So like how do you convey that I'm the guy when nobody knows who the hell you are? So these guys are trying to go in. Now this is my thought. Maybe they're going overseas playing like a character. I am this guy, right?
Well, yeah.
And they'll be like, nobody who know who the fuck you are. So why you don't think you're that guy?
Well, I mean, the way we just do it is just basically like normal day games. So we'll walk up to the girl. Hey, listen, I just saw you look cute. Wanted to get to know you. She hears the accent. Maybe that's interesting to her. Maybe you've got a slightly different look. That's kind of interesting to her as well. But the way that the game is played, for me anyway, and for Tusk and other people I know who do this, is no different to how it would be. I would do exactly the same thing in the UK, or I'd do exactly the same thing in the United States. So I'm not actually. It's not about. I'm not going to these places and going, hey babe, I've got a fucking Bugatti. Like, you want to know what color my Bugatti is? And look at these words. And it's not like that. We're trying to. I suppose the whole essence of game, if in a way, is trying to convey status or convey value without being overt about it, without going, hey, look at my fucking watch and all that sort of shit,
Dude, it's
so I'm
really
just doing exactly. If I go to Poland, I'll just do exactly the same thing that I would do in London.
But do you think that's what the problem with a lot of these guys are? Is that they're trying to convey the status overseas?
Some guys,
and
I think some guys are naive and they think. I think it was what you said before. They think I'll just wave the American passport around and that's going to be enough. And it isn't. I mean, it's like what people say about looks. I mean, it gives you a foot in the door. It gives you like a couple of minutes more, maybe, because it's like, oh, this guy's interesting. That's cool. He's from the UK. He's from America. Whatever. He's from New York. I mean, I was working with a client recently. He actually lives in Nashville now, but he was from LA, and he was telling girls he was from LA. Because that's where he was originally from. And obviously that's kind of, they're like, oh, that's interesting because everyone's heard of LA. They're like, oh, that's cool. But it gives you a couple of minutes extra. It doesn't mean it's not she just takes off her underwear in public and it's like, right, let's have sex. You've got to do a bit more to it than that.
What?
So what it comes down to, what it comes down to in the end is the same as anywhere else. It's the Riz. And actually what Tusk will often say is that people say Thailand is easy, or they'll say, I don't know, whatever, the Philippines, Colombia is easy or something like that. And there's some truth to that, but you're still not going to get those top tier girls because in every country, hypergamy exists. And, in all of these countries, even these so-called third world countries that people kind of slag off, actually, there's still rich dudes there. There are still high value guys there. And so you've got to be measuring up in all of those aspects as well. Otherwise, maybe you'll get some low tier kind of, whatever, but you're not going to really be getting the, into the top tier.
The question is
I've got a nickname for you, Troy.
Women...
What's that?
You're the ultimate Sarge.
The question is the low tier women overseas, right, higher than the low tier women out here?
Oh yeah, I would say so.
Our mids are better than your mids.
Easily.
Our mids are better than your mids.
No, it's true. It really is true. I mean, look, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, some of the when I went to say Ukraine, for example, before the war. I mean, you walk around Kiev, and just the volume of beautiful women there is fucking insane compared to almost anywhere else I've been. I'm sitting in the fucking McDonald's. I went into the McDonald's and there's some girl. She could be a fucking, catwalk model, just sitting there eating a fucking, like a Happy Meal with a fucking load of chicken nuggets or whatever in the fucking McDonald's. I mean, it's through the roof, the quality. And there are places, and Russia's good. I mean, Poland now is there's a lot of Ukrainian women living in Poland, and Polish women are very cute as well. There are definitely places where the quality, the baseline quality is just significantly higher. So yeah, for sure, man. I mean,
the best way for because there's a lot of guys that are listening to this, and we're trashing on. We were trashing a little bit on the passport bros. because there's the wrong way to do it and the right way to do it, right?
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you say to guys like saying, "Hey, Troy, I'm thinking about leaving America. I'm gonna go join. I'm gonna do this passport bro thing." Is there a thing that you would say, "Hey, you know, before you go,
yeah, take MLD's course.
do
Yes.
X, Y, and Z here in America first before you go"? Like,
Well,
what would you do?
Well, firstly, take MLD's course, link below. It's called Passport Bro, and it teaches all this stuff in depth. But secondly, I would say, well, get all the fundamentals. Get your fashion fixed. Get your fitness. Make sure your fitness is on point. You know, money muscles game. I mean, obviously, not saying you have to be a multimillionaire, but you know, it's going to help if you can at least afford to pay for some nice dates and things like that. But the main things are fashion and fitness. You know, are you in good shape? Do you look fucking cool, right? So get those things in shape. And also, I'd say in your home country, go and approach 100 women. Whether it's in the daytime, whether it's in the nighttime, or whether it's a combination of both. Go and get into and get blown out by, if necessary, like 100 women, all right? And that way, then, you're going to have some skin. You're going to have some knowledge of what you're dealing with. Because if you're some dork who you've never spoken to a woman at home, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go on the plane now. Oh my god! And you get off the plane in, I don't know, wherever the hell.
Right. If you can't approach a girl and talk to a girl and have a normal like conversation with a girl here,
you ain't gonna do it anywhere.
All of a sudden, you're going to get the balls. You're going to get the balls to go up and talk to a top tier perfect 10. In another country, you're not.
You're just not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. And sometimes, I mean, these days, I actually find it a bit easier to approach when I'm in foreign countries. Like, and I'll do more sort of like ballsy approaches. Like, I was in Mexico City at the beginning of the year, and I walked up. There was a table. There was a cute girl on the table, and there was like a fucking mother and her aunt were there, and somebody else. And I just walk up to the table and I'm like, hey, got to say, you look fucking cute, you know. And I'll do things like that. I might be more reticent to do that in London because I'm more aware culturally of the vibe. Whereas when you're
abroad, don't want to lie.
Exactly. When you're abroad, for me, I feel you've got a little bit more. You can play the I'm just a dumb foreigner card a little bit more, and you can get away with.
Oh, that's interesting.
But having said that, the opposite can also be true, because actually sometimes guys will find it more intimidating. They're in a foreign country. They're like, oh fuck, I don't know anyone here. I'm totally out of my comfort zone. And so then they see, like you said, they'll see that perfect 10 walking down the street. And they come from like fucking small town Minnesota. They're not going to be running up to that girl and starting a conversation unless you've had some experience and some practice in this stuff.
So Troy, have you seen that on both sides? Like some guys will have to leave. So in essence, they're jumping into the deep end of the swimming pool, and it's sink or swim. So in that case, they spend all this money. They go to these countries. At least they got to shoot a shot. If they didn't go to those countries, they wouldn't. Or do you see them lock up and then that's the end of the passport, bro?
No,
can you imagine spending like $5,000 on a trip to Singapore and then you don't have the balls to go up and talk to somebody?
I'm thinking if you did, you would really push yourself to engage.
You'd think so, but no, some guys do clam up because even when they've paid the money, this kind of goes back to what we were saying before about when people pay for something. In theory, they should take it more seriously. But sometimes even then, they pay the money, they get the trip, but you're still faced with that thing. There's a hot girl. I'm standing here.
Do they rationalize it like, you know what? This is a beautiful country. I know I came over here.
I'm just here.
Look at the architecture. Look at the scenery. Wow, look at
women happen, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I had a client. I had a client even this year, and I won't name it. I won't say.
I got cultured when I was there.
But this guy this year, he even paid me. We were going to do some coaching together over 2 days, and he paid me and everything. And I was there. The only reason I was there was basically to meet this guy. Anyway, so I'm there. I'm like, okay, so looking forward to the training. Meet you at 12. Blah blah, whatever it was. Anyway, he messages me in the morning and he said, "Oh, listen, man, I'm really sorry. I just don't think I can do this." And I was like, and he paid me already, so I'm like, well, this is cool. I guess I get a couple of days holiday here. But it was like guys, this approach anxiety, this fear of putting yourself into that vulnerable position is real, And for some guys, it's overwhelming, unfortunately.
Do you know why Troy has so much success? Show him that pinky ring. That right there is the pinky ring of a passport, bro.
That's when you go, pass me the button.
Pinky ring, you are done.
Glenn, you don't want to know what this pinky ring's now covered in. I'll need to disinfect it, I think.
Wow.
I really don't. I
like Jacob's comment bacterial culture there just in case.
I like Jacob's comment here. Is a lesson. Master the local mids first.
Yeah. Hold that up. I want to comment on that one too.
Because I mean, like, hey, if you talk about actionable information, there you go,
dude. Honestly, that's what I tell people, right? I tell people, hey, go out on these catfish dates and use it as fucking practice. Just use it like practice
advice.
your body language, practice your bantering, practice, letting her do 80% of the talking, that kind of shit, and then pay for your drinks and walk out. You don't have to sleep with her, or you can, whatever. It's just fucking practice, so you have to marry them. You know what I mean?
That's
Do
good
that,
advice.
and then the next time you actually go out on a date with a hot chick, you've got muscle memory now. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, another 100%. Another tip, I suppose, is you can do some what they call pipelining, using a dating app. So if you've got Tinder or you've got Bumble or whatever, you can set your location to where you're going, maybe a couple of weeks before, and get talking to some girls and maybe set up a few dates, because that's going to give you at least like, okay, I've got a couple of things set up here. So that can help you get into the game as well. If you join the Passport Bro course with MLD and David Bond, which is available now, link below. I'm going to put a link in the chat again. They've got other methods as well. They're talking about some really advanced stuff like running Facebook ads and all this kind of thing. I mean, they're talking about pulling through ridiculous numbers of leads. John was talking about something like having 700 messages through using Facebook ads when he went to this particular city. So they're doing some pretty advanced stuff, which they know a ton more about than I do. So there are other ways as well using social media. I know James uses Instagram, does Instagram ads sometimes, and that's apparently worked pretty well. So there's different things that you can do, but I think ultimately getting used to talking to women in your own home fucking country is going to massively pay dividends, because it may be really hard where you are. You might be living in a city where you think, fuck, it's really tough in Dallas or whatever. But, go through that hard training. And then when you go to, the place where the women are a bit more sweet and nice and blah, 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 it's going to be easier, going to be a bit easier, because they're probably going to give you a bit of a softer time. But you still have to understand those dynamics. Otherwise, you're just going to get screwed over or
if you don't have the social skills in your own country, you're not going to have the social skills in another country. So develop your fucking social skills, guys.
On top of that, you'll have the language barrier depending on which country you go.
Exactly. But you know what these guys really need to do is develop a dominant masculine presence. And you can get that from this old guy named Thor, who also has an audio book out.
It just came out 2 days ago, guys.
So
on
while
Amazon,
you're on your flight to Bangladesh to try to go get some hot chick, listen to Dominant Masculine Presence, and you will have a better opportunity.
Dude, touch the doll where Bangladesh touched you. Jesus.
Bangladesh.
I hate that country.
Damn, that's for sure. That's
I'm 99.999% certain that this is a fake Tusk, but the comment's quite funny. He says, "Sun your balls, Glenn." So I'm not sure if that's going to help.
I mean, with skin cancer at that point, you don't give any fucks. You'll approach whatever. I got 6 months left.
Right?
Is that like death ground strategy? It's like basically give yourself a fatal disease or illness so that you just really don't give a fuck, and then you're just going to get laid like a rock star.
Hey, how bad do you want it?
Excellent. Well, we've there's a lot more to say on this Passport Bros thing, obviously. There was something that occurred to me just before. I don't know. I suppose what we're coming down to is, yes, it can help. There are certainly some places that are probably a bit easier than your hometown in America or wherever you're based now, but you've still got to know what the fuck you're doing. And it's not all about prostitution. It shouldn't be about that exchange of money at all. You're probably going to pay for some dates and things like that, but we're not talking about giving people money here. This is about going over there, being a fucking cool guy, leveraging the fact that you're probably a bit more interesting to her because you're from a different culture, and going on some fucking dates. But none of this stuff there's no magic cure here for any of this stuff. It's not that there's some country you can just magically go and you're going to be getting laid by the most beautiful 10s just on tap. It just doesn't work like that.
If you're a lame in your own country, you're going to be a lame in their country.
Exactly.
Moral story: don't be a lame.
Exactly. Moral of the story: buy Passport Bros by MLD and David Bond, because it's really fucking good, and it's not really even open anymore. But
Ryan, don't you have a blog about this? I swear I thought you wrote a blog about this.
Dude, maybe not about this. I know my first book was talking a lot about my adventures across the world.
Okay, I know.
A professional passport bro.
Yeah, in Fuck Files, you talk about this a bit, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the point. The whole point was I'm going to show you guys how I did it, and here's what it worked for me. And there was good. Some of it was really bad. Some of it was good, but some of it was bad. I made sure to include both of it, just so nobody thinks it's a land of milk and honey.
Yeah, and Fuck Files is a really, really good book, actually. I would highly recommend that people get hold of that as well.
Well, it's no masculine presence, but then again, what is? It's in Amazon, on audio, get it.
You know, and you know what? I'm going to plug in this faggot that I know named Come On Man Podcast. You got to have your mindset right. Like, you know, before you can go any place and try to talk to these chicks, get your mindset right. Okay, even though like it's not going to help Paul when he comes to Vegas in October 7th when I stand his ass to a table and put him in a casket.
Putting that out. I'm putting it out to the universe. The universe is going to grant.
That's fine. You and your universe can do whatever the fuck you want, but you know I'm going to put you in a casket. That's the end of the day. But no, seriously, like okay, so you get dominant masculine presence from Thor, then you read Fuck Files, right? And then you know what? You gotta like internalize this shit and have a good mindset. Then you go fucking the Paul's Come On Girls podcast, and you get that mindset course. I reviewed Paul's mindset course before he released it, and it was a really good course. So get your mind right, learn some game, learn how to be a dominant man, and then learn how to get your accents from Troy, and then you guys will be great passport bros.
Yes. The other, actually, one other thing. So language barrier. This is something that guys worry about a lot. My solution to this is just speaking English very loudly in a confused voice, like Hugh Grant in one of those movies. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Can I have sex with you?
What is going on here? I'm confused.
Yeah. But no. In general, I mean, I'm a typical like English dude. I don't really speak any other languages. You pick up a few words here and there. It's not really the massive problem that people think it is. Certainly not for casual dating. If you want to date casually, you can definitely date women who you don't speak the same language as her, and it can be fine. It can actually be a lot of fun. Google Translate is your friend. I think ChatGPT. You can also use ChatGPT for translations now as well, which is apparently even better for some of the slang terms and some of the idioms and stuff like that. I think if you were going to go to a place, I'm considering learning Spanish because I think Spanish will be relatively easy for me to learn. And I do love Latin America and Latinas and stuff like that. So maybe I'll do that. I know James has apparently now trying to learn bloody Ukrainian, which is going to be fucking hard. But I don't think, I want to go to this country, but I don't know the language. So I'm going to have to spend 6 months learning it. Don't do that. Just go, a lot of these women will speak some English anyway, so most of the time you should be fine. But I dated a Ukrainian girl for several months who spoke basically fuck all English. I've dated Russian women who speak no English. I've dated, Latin women who speak very, very little English, and it's been absolutely fine.
Do you ever go like, you, me?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's what I did with Tiffany.
Doesn't take much there.
Anyway,
I like how you're trying to be very prim and proper here, Troy. And these guys are just fucking with you.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Having the old in and out, governor.
Absolutely. Anyway, I think we've probably got to the end of that, really. So should we just go around the panel, see what people are doing, what you've got coming up, where they can find you, and so on? Paul, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll just keep it short. If you guys go to comeonmanpod.com, you'll find all my offerings there. What I've been really sort of promoting lately is my beer club. It's just a hangout for guys. It's only $10 a month. We just had our last one on Thursday. It went for 2.5 hours. It's supposed to be a happy hour, but we just got into all sorts of fundamental conversations about, I don't know, shit like this. It's just guys just talking about guy shit. And it's just a good outlet for guys. Guys really do need to have a group of male friends that they can, pal around with and bounce ideas off of. So check that out. ComeOnManPod.com. Otherwise, tune into the podcast on Monday. We're talking about old Navy Sea stories on Monday. That's what Monday's episode is. I have one of my shipmates from the USS Shiloh on, and we're talking about back in the Navy days. So that should be fun.
Good stuff. And Ryan,
just get on the Substack. I'm working on book 3 right now. I'm keeping it pretty tight. And then if you're over the red pill and you want to move on, I got the gaming channel. We got Mish. All the guys you see shitposting with us on Twitter, they're all on that channel. So it's more casual. Beyond that, just get on the Substack. That's it. That's where you'll find the predominance of my main work right now.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. And Glenn, thanks for your help and hospitality the other week in Vegas. That was fucking awesome meeting up with you, man, and much appreciated.
So what I got going on, besides giving everybody COVID,
his hospitality lasts.
Besides that, what we had this week, we had I have Hotep Jesus out here, so I have him and Phil Foster, and I'm putting them on a couple podcasts. We had Lika O, international Russian singer, actress, friend of mine. Threw her on with Davrik, and then we're also putting her on with Michael Sartain. And then we have Janelle, the sex therapist lady. I'm going to put her on another show out here too. So we're staying busy out here. We're building Red One Studios out, and we're just doing what I said I'm going to do. I'm Mr. Producer. So stay tuned. We're going to have some great content coming out. And just so you guys know, I am in the works of creating a Rule Zero conference.
Yes.
Ooh.
It will be here in Vegas. I'm going to have to smuggle Ryan in from Canada, but don't worry, it will happen. Ryan's used to close confined containers like a ship, so a trunk is the same space. So.
As long as I can suck dick, that's all that matters.
Someone's definitely going to clip that. Thor, what you got going on?
Well, I just released my audiobook, Dominant Masculine Presence. It seems to be doing well. I'll tell you, it was a chore to put together, but it's well worth it. Please go check it out. And of course, you can find all that stuff at becomedurable.com. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Great stuff. And as far as I am concerned, thanks everybody for coming on. It's been a great show. So what I want you to do now, if you've enjoyed this content about Passport Bros, is to join Passport Bro by John MLD and David Bond. It's officially closed, but we've kept it open for you just for one more night because we're doing this Rule Zero today. And basically, it's a pre-recorded digital course where John and David go through all different aspects of being a Passport Bro. How do you pick the locations? How do you know if it's going to be good? What do you do to keep yourself safe? How do you deal with things like language barriers? How do you know which areas are busy, which are the good parts of town, which are the not so good parts of town? They've also got a Telegram chat where I think there's a couple of hundred guys on there already who are all on there discussing different parts of the world. There's people from all over the world. So if you're thinking, I want to go to Brazil, there's going to be people from Brazil on there. You can get firsthand information. They're really building out a community here with this stuff. And also there's going to be a week's worth of live webinars with MLD, with David Bond. They've got a couple of other guys, and my good self. I'm going to be doing a presentation on Thursday talking about cold approach. So Passport Bros for the win. That's the link. I'll leave the link in the description as well. Join that ASAP. I think it's about $797. So it's not expensive and you get a shit ton of value. I think the Telegram group is perpetual. It goes on forever. And all the webinars are going to happen next week. So make sure you click that link and join that if you're at all interested in traveling for to date and to expand your horizons, because John's obviously lived in Japan for a long time and he's traveled to many different countries, and David Bond has been traveling all over the world for I think over a decade now. So these guys really know what the hell they're talking about. So I'd highly recommend that course. Anyway, with that being said, it's been a great show. Thanks everyone for joining me, and we'll see you guys. Does anyone know who's doing it next week?
Oh man, it's always a crapshoot, isn't it?
You know what? I'll probably be hosting next week.
Yeah.
There you go. I think Glenn's up anyway. I think also John Fitch is up too. So
isn't John Finch traveling right now, or is he back?
He was, but he was here today, so he could probably
see. This is why I tell you guys that that set list doesn't work because schedules are all over the place.
Yeah.
It's
a guideline.
You know what? I think I'm going to be talking. I'll host, and I'll be talking about the idea of having a Rule Zero conference. And
I love it. Yeah.
We'll do that.
Good idea. Excellent news. All right, guys, you heard it here first. So we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.